I think, I mean, outside of the upcoming presidential election, which is so hard to predict because it's one of the only ones I've seen where it's both so early on, I think we pretty much know who the candidates are going to be, and they're both in such bad positions.
Yeah.
They're both in such fucking terrible positions. Outside of that, though, the data that we have since Dobbs on every level, state, local, federal elections.
Oh, yeah. Ohio, major victory for the pro-choice side. Ohio, issue 1, a measure to raise the threshold to pass state constitutional amendment to 60% fails.
Has any referendum on the anti-choice side won since Dobbs? I don't think so.
Well, that's precisely why they did it like this, where they were like, oh, it's not even guys, trust me, it's not about abortion.
Yeah.
It's about outside influence coming into the state of Ohio, and in order to combat that, you have to win petitions in every district of Ohio, and obviously nobody bit that, nobody believed that, so they were like, no, fuck off. You're trying to stop, you're trying to stop any kind of abortion amendment from being put on a ballot. So.
Abortion is now one of those things similar to, I guess, right to work, where when put in front of people, the usual linguistic tricks are not working anymore. With abortion, I mean, it's very rarely been the subject of direct democracy, but it's tough to fool people with that one.
Yeah, because I've talked about this a lot. I talked about this a lot earlier today. This is a major problem in the Republican Party right now. I feel like the entire, and it's actually perfectly representative of the issues that Ron DeSantis is facing because of what he's done thus far, which is putting the cart before the horse, where he ends up not utilizing culture war issues as a way to distract away from the problems as he deregulates and allows corporations to steal every dollar from your pocket or poison your fucking water supply, whatever, you know what I mean? Instead of doing that, he's actually becoming a culture warrior and genuinely utilizing big government to harm corporate interests, which is antithetical to what Republicans do and is the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do. So that is, I think that is part of the reason why even Rick Scott was critical of Ron DeSantis' moves against Disney, right?
Right.
You're taking it too far.
Right. I mean, someone pointed out that I think it's Never Back Down, the head of Never Back Down, the big DeSantis, the equivalent to Jeb's Right to Rise, Ed Rollins, former, HW era, a guy who probably won Che Guevara's watch in a poker game with Poppy in the Golden Age. If you look at HW or W or anyone we use as an example of a normal Republican outside of the last 15 years, they would use, as you said, they would use culture war as not your primary thing.
No,
this is your side dish.
No, it's a means to distract.
Exactly.
You can talk about culture war all day, every day, but when it comes down to it, when you're passing legislation, it's not necessarily about actually pushing for legislation that literally kills gay children or something. You know what I mean? You're just supposed to say oh no, that's bad. That's really bad. It's same with abortion, where you're not actually supposed to criminalize abortion, because when you do that, then you can't lie. It's truly just a cruel and unusual and undemocratic thing that you just did. And now your base that probably took advantage in certain instances of abortion not being criminalized and could easily, if they had an ectopic pregnancy or if they wanted to get a fucking abortion as a Republican, could go and get it, albeit limited in red states with trap laws or whatever, but they could still go and get an abortion. Now they can't, so all of a sudden, you can't lie about it. You can't be oh, I'm pro-choice. Nobody's pro-life when it comes down to their child having to get this medical procedure.
But at the same time, though, outside of DeSantis and Trump, though, that was unavoidable. It was unavoidable even if like Trump never fucking existed. Something like this was going to happen.
The Federalist Society.
It was already happening. Like, you know, there was that very famous case in Indiana where a woman was basically sent to prison, not basically, literally sent to prison for having a miscarriage, which was a consequence of, you know, laws that 10 years prior we would think, oh, a Republican legislature would never pass that. They wouldn't be that suicidal. But the thing is, with like culture war issues, even if you're using them in the most cynical possible way to distract, the thing with them is that you have to keep upping the ante. Yeah. You have to keep giving things to, you know, whatever pressure groups you're relying on, or whatever part of your coalition really genuinely cares about these things, that you are inevitably going to go over that line where you are like outright criminalizing these things. Like gearing up into like actual genocidal things. Yeah, it's unavoidable. There's just no way to really back down from it.
And that is, I think, a genuine problem where we're at an impasse. Where do we have enough suburban white folks that are upper middle class that are going to be brain poisoned by Fox News and the Republican media infrastructure to then also become like the crazy, sweaty, parent teachers conference weirdos that they are currently looking at and going, oh, that's kind of gross. I don't want that. I don't want to be associated with that. Or is the opposite going to happen, where they start not voting or maybe voting for the Democratic Party in certain elections, and then the Republican Party needs to retriangulate their messaging and what they're pushing for?
I mean, outside of the like upcoming presidential election, which is so hard to predict because it's one of the only ones I've seen where it's like both so early on, I think we pretty much know who the candidates are going to be, and they're both in such bad positions. Yeah. They're both in such fucking terrible positions. Outside of that, though, the data that we have since Dobbs on every level, state, local, federal elections, seems to suggest that there is some racial depolarization going on, and that those suburban, not just women, some men are making that shift. Yeah, but there's also the other side too, where the Republican Party for the first time is not only chipping away at the black vote from the Democratic Party, which in prior election cycles their goal was just simply to get them not to vote for the Democratic Party, which kind of failed, but it was I guess it was like moderately successful, maybe, let's say. But now they're actually for the first time gaining voters to their side. Now, is this going to be a real election mover? I don't think so, but I do think that is genuinely signaling that a tide is changing. With that, like in numbers that are so significant so as to like change the outcome of a presidential election, I will believe it when I see it. I do know that like some things have changed. Some things changed very markedly in 2020. I do think that there is a lot of hay being made, like in liberal political media. There is this like very quick impulse I've seen among people to like instantly put the onus like on black male voters, which I think is like, I don't know if that's someone jumping the gun or if that's like, or up high, but either way, it's like both looks like you're panicking and is, it's just outright disgusting. It's just put it on them, To me, it spells that there are a lot of apolitical people that are outright resentful of the Democratic Party in due to their inaction, disdain, like open negligence towards like black issues in general. Right. Because it's always this. The way I see it is, it's politics can be very complicated, but it can also be very simple in the sense that
if you don't offer anything to a voter and one side is at least like making them interested, then they're going to go and vote for the other side. Like if people are angry, if there's a lot of anger out there and at least one side is like basically saying, oh, you're angry for this reason, and slowly but surely you start understanding that perspective, you're going to go, yeah, you know what? I am fucking angry for this reason. These guys do suck. They're telling me nothing is all that bad, or things are only bad when Republicans are in charge. The other side of this, or perhaps a more successful strategy here, is the Texas GOP, where they have done a decent amount of work on Hispanic voters in Texas, and looking at a lot of polling for the Latino voter bloc in Texas, which is definitely far from a monolith. I think that the Latino voter population across all demographics are actually very positive towards big government initiatives, even in like the least favorable terms that you can describe it. And of course, Democrats aren't doing any of that shit. So on the other hand, they're also somewhat socially conservative. So if you're not going to implement any fiscally progressive policies or even claim that you're going to do that, you're going to always lose out on the culture war issues to especially older Hispanic voters that are, definitely more socially conservative. If the Texas GOP is like actively trying to reach out and say like, oh yeah, we're trying to defend Catholics, whereas these Democrats are perverts and they want to steal your baby and do an abortion on your baby.
Depending where you are.
Gotta read more Richard Hanania.
And Richard Hanania.
Yeah.
You get a fuller picture of like a modern voting practices. Texas is like, it's a whole different thing, right? It's like, if you're looking at like Texas Latinos, like any random Mexican guy from Texas, his family has probably been here like 100 years longer than my family has.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? It's like a different thing.
Also, a lot of Latinos in Texas, but all around the United States of America, also identify as white as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
It's hard to It's hard to tell, but we'll see. We'll see. We're not getting quite what I wanted, which is the 20,000 voter election, Kamala versus Ron DeSantis, but it's something close to it. We're getting the two shittiest positions for two major candidates in. I can't wait.
On the other hand, though, Trump is kind of back. He's getting his riz on a little bit. I mean, the comparison to Ron DeSantis is crazy.
No, Chris, he's eating right now. He can't be bothered.
But he never went away. This is the thing.
Yeah.
He's best. Like, he is amazing.
Sir, please do not call him a fat pig. That's very disrespectful. Don't call him. See, I'm trying to be nice. Don't call.
There is nothing more American than a fat guy pointing the finger at a fatter guy and going, "You fucking fat ass."
Yeah, like in sheer pounds, how far away are they?
Yeah,
not that much.
But dude, that is so American.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Call him a fat pig. You can't do it. You can't do that. So now, because you're not allowed to do that, and therefore we're not going to do it, okay? We want to be very civil, right? So, the ladies...
It's so good. It's great.
I mean, they could probably just pretty much give him the nomination now, but I'll enjoy watching the process.
I need more, the fact that he was talking about potentially not doing the debate is insane to me. Like, that's where you shine. What do you mean? He has no enemies there.
I am sort of curious about his calculus there.
I
think, I don't know. Maybe he's afraid of giving, Vivek a moment. Like, it's something stupid like that we're not thinking of.
Really? You think, first of all...
You would be shocked.
Bro, Vivek is like he's Indian. There's no shot that the Republicans are gonna.
But like
they're gonna find like they're
I'm
not
saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right, but it's like the calculus that individual politicians and their advisors make. It makes zero sense to us, but to them it makes all the sense in the world. Like that is the type of stupid shit that a paid political consultant think. They'll go like, "Oh no, this could be the Vivek show if you go and do this."
Yeah, potentially. I mean. There's an Indian prime minister? Yeah, exactly. In the fucking UK, brother. What are you talking about? Americans, I've talked about this before. When we covered the P slur, right? I won't say it, but it's short. It's Pakistani, but short, right? Americans are not aware that this is even a slur for the most part because we are not one of those countries that immediately thinks, oh, Indian and Pakistani men are also Asian. Yeah. So, like, if you're in a country where when you say Asian, that means, like, both East Asian, like Korean, Japanese, Chinese, but also Pakistani and maybe even Afghan and also Indian, that's a different situation. Americans are not even like up to date with the racisms that they can do towards Indian people. That's how little that's how little it's in the orbit of interest or curiosity. They just know like, oh, 7-Eleven. You know what I mean?
Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino would represent an American who is on the more culturally aware side of things.
Yeah. In the UK, when you say Asian, your mind will go to South Asian before East Asian. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like in America, when you say Asian, you think East Asian. You never think South Asian. Rishi Sunak wasn't elected, though. It doesn't matter. I'm just, I mean, actually, I guess that's a good point. But what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that I just don't see, especially in the Republican Party, an Indian man rising to prominence. They just see like brown and they're like, well, that's not white. And that's weird. And the only reason why they haven't, the only reason why they're not even paying attention to Vivek is because like it's a non-entity. And the moment that he like gains more prominence in the polls, they would just like, they would go crazy over it. They would start finding new ways of doing racism. You know what I mean? Until he was bullied out of the race. Why is Vivek polling about DeSantis? I've only seen it in a couple polls. I don't believe that that's... They tried in 2010 with the Indian governor of Louisiana. Yeah. Stop tying your dogs to benches. Isn't Nikki Haley an exception? Hello? Nikki Haley? Have you seen Nikki Haley? If you ask most people that voted for Nikki Haley, they wouldn't even know that she was Indian. What are you talking about? You're giving me more examples of why I'm right. Like saying Kamala Harris, for example. Kamala Harris is a black woman. Okay? In the United States of America, no one is like, oh, Kamala Harris is only half black. You know what I mean? Nikki Haley is in the eyes of the population of voters, she's not an Indian woman. She is a white woman. You know what I mean? So, being cute down there. So, where was I? What else? Okay, so he's bringing back failed characters from previous seasons.
Corey. Where is Corey Lewandowski? Corey, where is Corey? Where is he? Well, there he is. Always likes to be a little bit in the background.
So fucked up.
Thank you, Corey. Great job. He's doing a great job. Corey.
That's so fucking wrong. Fucking light bulb head. Most beautiful.
Yeah.
Most beautiful woman in American politics. Fucking thing that's ever happened.
The mic is not even off. He was being quiet when he was talking about Corey Lewandowski and how upset he got.
It really fucking upsets me.
He got upset about Corey Lewandowski being with Nikki Haley.
Hopix.
Or, I mean, not Nikki Haley, Hopix, sorry.
You know, that was my favorite Michael Wolff thing. He claimed that Trump fucked Nikki Haley.
Wait, he did?
Yeah, he did. That was like one of the big controversies with his book.
Why did anybody... Oh, God.
And it's like... It's not that Nikki Haley's like ugly or anything. She's not. It's just that like Trump would never like... He would never like fuck a 50-year-old woman. You know what I mean?
I don't think
like
Trump fucks.
We're so
right. Well, like all his sexual engagement is just like it's a thing for him to tell other men.
Yeah,
it's like solely so he can impress other men, and to that end, he would not fuck like a 50-year-old woman, even if she was like attractive.
Yeah, because he can't get any bragging rights out of that.
Yeah, if his only utility is like how it impresses other men, then like why would he do that?
Trump era scandal books, Aso Purley, Avenatti, Woodward, Wolf, etc. I mean, everybody knew that these guys were charlatans from the jump. It was just that like liberal media has this incredible power of just completely avoiding any and all controversy or ridiculous things that they're saying in an effort to weaponize them against Trump, I guess. Like, it literally doesn't matter. So Trump asked his fans in New Hampshire, this is important, if he should do the Fox News debate.
We're so far above everybody else in the polls. They're all saying, is he going to go into the debate? And I say, I don't know. If you're leading by 50 and 60 and 70 points, do you do that or not? I don't know. Should I? Okay, you ready? Poll. We take a free poll. Should I do the debate?
Oh, they all said yes. See, even though they want to glaze him and be like, no, they're still fucking, they're just like me. They're so content brains. They're like, come on, please, sir, do it. I want more than anything to watch the trial. I want it to be televised. It'd be so good.
I really hope that's the case. Here's another thing, though, that I just thought of for the debate. What if, like, okay, here's the best thing Trump has going for him, right? That for, like, a bunch of voters, he can go out there and go, like, remember the Trump economy, referring to, like, you know, like, let's say 30-month period with, you know, low inflation, high growth, et cetera, et cetera. That works on a lot of people. But you get diminishing returns by people seeing Trump. His personal numbers are, like, horrible. He is an albatross around the neck of the party. I think that the midterms, it was more a reflection of, you know, Dobbs and backfiring culture war upping the ante, but also him. He's, you know, more times than not, he's dragged his party down, you know?
Yeah, that's why they wanted to replace him.
But, like, maybe the strategy on his side is, like, to show him as little as possible. To, you know, soft glide him to the nomination and have him out. Sort of do what Biden did in 2020.
Ooh.
What if that's the strategy?
That could be it, but I feel because he's already clapping in the primaries. He doesn't really even need to be that public. And he already has an automatic publicity from every indictment. Whenever there's another indictment, every Republican has to come out and be like, yeah, this is really crazy. We have to defend Donald Trump. It's like, bro, you're running against him. Like, what the fuck? You're showing... You have no backbone. Like, why?
Well, I mean, there's just no lane in that party for being like, yeah, he did break the law. Fuck him.
Yeah.
Like, there's no lane. Nothing.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. They're completely cooked.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll do something else. You know, see, some people say yes, but they hate to say it because it doesn't make sense to do it if you're leading by so much, but they like it for entertainment value because they're selfish. They're selfish.
I mean, he's right.
We're so far.
He's right, and he should still do it, I think.
The more I think about it, the more I think they're doing the Biden basement strategy. They show him to the most committed.
I know, but like, I think part of the reason why Trump kind of fell out of favor was twofold. One, because he was really just adamant about the election being stolen from him. And it was like, I think he went overboard with, he has a really good way of usually tying back his own personal grievances to like a broader conversation about like liberal elite perverts that have like wronged him, but just like they've wronged you in West Virginia, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he's normally so good about getting some fucking coal miner family who basically lives in the same house with like internet getting cut off once every 2 weeks to get mad about Graydon Carter.
Right, he can take those people, get them mad about like, you know, whatever issue, and the result is there's enough support to pass like, you know, basically a Reaganomics bill. Right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Whereas the election being stolen from him, I think got to a point where it was like he was just like too repetitive.
Yeah,
that it wasn't good content.
And not just too repetitive. I mean, there are two things. One, doing that, unfortunately, makes you look like a fucking loser. Even in the case of like 2000, absolutely 100,000% stolen election.
Yeah.
Undebatable. Unfortunately, even though that's the case, it kind of looked like a fucking loser in 2000 if you're like, hey, they stole it. Like, that's, unfortunately, I think one of the reasons that maybe Democrats didn't fight that hard as they should have. The other thing is that the individual things that he's pursued with, you know, his interpretation of election fraud have hurt, like, normally when Republicans have, like, made election fraud or voter fraud, like, an issue, right? There's a coherent strategy they have that's meant to like suppress votes that typically go against them, right? With him, it's just this scattershot thing of like whatever he sees, and it's so disorganized that it ends up suppressing their own vote. Because he's basically just telling like the base and his supporters and people who normally vote for Republicans, hey, they're not going to count your vote. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, don't mail in vote, they'll throw it away. And, you know, there are other factors, bigger factors that contribute.
Or even, the mail-in, like, being so expressly anti-mail-in ballot is so stupid because it's the only reason why Trump got more votes than any other Republican in the history of the party. It's because of mail-in ballots. Like, that's it. Making it easier for everyone to vote was overall, I guess it yielded some benefits for the Republicans as well. And instead of, like, reconfiguring that structure, they're still so caught up in like ensuring that like going back to that old election strategy of making sure that as little amount of people vote as possible will always be favorable to them as far as electoral outcomes.
That's no longer the case.
Yeah.
That is huge. That is, I think, the most underrated development that I've only seen a few people talk about. And the only guys who has talked about it at length, you know, to the point that this subject deserves, and germanium, that now, like, turnout, like, low turnout does not necessarily benefit Republicans. That's fucking massive. That kind of changes everything. And, I'm really excited for this one. Excited, horrified, bored, etc. Everything you can feel. Because I really don't fucking know. It's like, it's almost like both guys are trying to throw Bidenomics. Why would you do that?
I think they're relying on, I think they're relying on inflation totally slowing down by the time the election comes around so that they can be like, look, we did it actually. But the reality is, regardless of what happens in the economy, consumers recognizing that is still always going to be kind of vibes based. And also, big ticket items are not, they're like things that are not in the consideration when you normally think about consumer goods are still profoundly expensive and impossible to combat. And the externalities from that, like, are highly visible. Homelessness, for example, as a direct problem caused by the housing market. Yes. So if you don't tackle that at all, then people are still not going to they're just not going to see the economy in the way that you want them to see it. No matter how many fucking Harvard graduates write for the New York Times about how wonderful things are actually, regardless of how you feel about it.
Right. Even if even if things are in the exact condition they want them in a year from now, it's not like people are going to forget that they experienced negative wage growth for this time. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's a huge fucking
Plus,
thing.
it always takes a couple years for people to start recognizing economic changes due to policy. That's the other issue. And then last but not least, no matter what happens, I think, people are still, even when the economy's healthy, it's not like people aren't struggling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If people overlook a lot of things that Trump was capable in a way that a conventional politician would be. Because people always wanted to make him, the exception that proves the rule, et cetera, et cetera. He is this abrogation of the system. But, there are a bunch of conventional things he did and conventional things he was good at. One of them was tying himself to a low inflation, high growth economy, making that weakly tied to him in the minds of infrequent voters and people who vote in presidential elections. He didn't do it enough for second term, but it's one of his talents that he retains to this day.
Also, even there was a New York Times poll that was really interesting where they asked people how they felt about the economy during COVID under the Trump administration, and they felt more positive about the economy then than they do right now, when demonstrably the economy is doing better now.
Because that was the first time in most people's lives where they actually received the actual assistance of a government safety net when they needed it.
Yeah.
And the fact that it happened under Trump, you can complain, you can say, oh, things aren't as bad as people feel. Oh, well, look at this day. Look, you could say that all you want. That doesn't change what happened. Reality. What people feel, what people remember, what people experienced.
Yeah. I don't think that we go anywhere with people feeling positively about the economy unless we do something about the housing market. And I think that the notion that only building luxury high-rise condominiums, there was a New Yorker article that just came out recently where it was well, technically at least rent growth is slowing when there's new development. So why are people upset that they correctly point out that new development still leads to increasing rent?
Right.
It's well, you just said it in the article. It does. It still leads to increasing rent. Just because rent growth slows down when there's new development doesn't change that rent growth is still a constant. And in the eyes of a lot of people, they still see rent going up.
And it has the same problem that the other biggest immiserating factor unique to the housing thing isn't as unique to the American economy as the other thing, healthcare, right?
Yeah.
Healthcare is the way that healthcare immiserates specifically and impoverishes in America is very unique to us. Housing, not so much. We see that in a lot of other places. But you have the same problem with both, which is even if you do exactly what should be done, even if, let's say we get exactly what, let's say what I want with healthcare. Let's say we fucking nationalize it, right? Not just Medicare for all. We nationalize it. We nationalize everything. You still, unfortunately, a lot of the times, when you build entire sectors of the economy that are based off just graft and unregulated profiteering, you have to pay the piper when you end up popping that balloon. Someone's going to get fucked. It's going to hurt in some way or the other, unfortunately.
Yeah. Healthcare executives, or even people working in healthcare companies, are going to be harmed by this because not everyone is going to not everyone's going to have a job under a nationalized healthcare structure.
Right. I mean, like the healthcare executives, like, look, whatever happens to them, who gives?
Yeah.
Who fucking cares?
We're talking about like,
but like
accountants and
someone,
shit.
right? Someone who's their only route into like semi-precarious middle classness was like, you know, medical billing. Okay, well, for some people, there will be a need for like a bureaucracy in an American super NHS, right? But it's, you know, there's still going to be some people who just, you know, they're not going to be able to go over. And with housing, you know, this problem where, I mean, yeah,
the backbone,
what we're doing is untenable.
The backbone of American politics is like individual homeowners that that see their only mechanism of wealth generation to be their property value steadily increasing.
Yes,
and they are going to see a tangible negative effect from their housing prices decreasing, and that will, you know, that will harm their mortgage opportunities. That will make them feel like they're paying so much more for this product that is no longer as valuable. There's also a bunch of like, you know, small mom and pop homeowners, landlords that own like 1 to 9 properties, I think, which make up like the majority of like home ownership in this country.
Yeah.
Those guys hold down local politics like a militia. They are infinitely more powerful than the 3%ers as far as like political momentum and you know, strong arming local politics goes. And I don't know how to deal with that at all.
Yeah.
The problem is not that billionaires will be slightly less billionaire. No, you're missing the point. In the United States of America, there are 18 million millionaires. 18 million. A lot of those people have millions of dollars as a consequence of real estate. Okay? Like pretty much every single person, when you think about their net worth, that has more than $1 million usually has a home that places into their net worth. That's their major asset, right?
And you know, going back a little bit, even if like, you know, okay, let's say like, again, everything, you know, let's say I get exactly what I want again. And like with the healthcare thing, okay, like, yes, there would be a need for tons of jobs. Tons of people would be able to, you know, transfer their jobs from, you know, working from fucking Oscar to working for the American super NHS. But there would still be some pain because, you know, this was one of the only growth sectors of the American economy. There would still be, you still have to pay the piper. With this, and overall things would be way fucking better. Don't get me wrong. Same thing with housing. Even if overall things are way fucking better, if people feel like if a middle class person feels like their family is poorer because like, oh, well, like my kids can't get my house, it will be worth like 30 times as much as it is now, you know, when they're my age. If they feel like that's taken away from them and they feel like they're doing worse, well, then, yeah, you've got another problem. Got a whole set of other issues, unfortunately.
Yeah,
there's
no solution to this in a democratic process. Like it has to be relatively authoritarian. That is just the reality.
And it's the awful thing about like the uniquely immiserating factors of the American economy is that they are set up in such a way that, you know, massive changes to them to change the exact things that make them so wrong and fucked up will cause, you know, you're going to have to pay the piper in the short and medium term just because of how things have been set up, fortunately.
Yeah.
And all we can say is if you're an officer, a mid-level officer in the military right now, start reading the Hugo Chavez or Gaddafi biography. Just joking. Joking.
You're still going along with the charismatic military guy who's who gets captivated.
It's the only fucking thing I can think of. Right? That's the only thing. That is the only thing. I'm kidding. If you are a mid-level officer in the military right now, put down that copy of your Dodge
David Goggins
Hellcat fucking user manual, whatever they call it. Put it down. Pick up the Gaddafi biography. Okay, have you read it? You've read the Green Book. Put it down. Put down the Green Book. Buy the Resident Evil 4 remake. Have fun. I'm not suggesting anything else. Let's keep doing American democracy forever.
Yeah. We would never.
Yes.
Who knows? Who knows how that works out?
Who knows? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
There's no way to achieve this with democratic process, but it would take more effort to educate the public and fight disinformation. I mean, it doesn't matter because like the awesome power that California, the state that we currently reside in, is a perfect example of this. $80 billion budget surplus, billions of dollars of funds generated specifically through numerous ballot measures that are democratically voted on, that are infinitely more popular than any fucking California congressperson, that directly are there to address the problem of homelessness, okay? Every fucking year, Californians go out, every 2 years, every 4 years, we go out and we vote for yet another additional tax that will directly fund some anti-homelessness initiative. And I don't mean like, put homeless people in camps and kill them, like Project Home Key, Project Room Key. These are all different various initiatives to combat homelessness. And it's not a consequence of a lack of funds for this problem, is what I'm trying to say. It's a consequence of every single one of these initiatives stop dead in its tracks when they're actually trying to start the process. And Gavin Newsom certainly is not the charismatic leader that is interested in putting his foot down and being like, no, I want to be president one day, so I am going to say fuck you. No, we are utilizing these hotels. Like, fuck you, eminent domain, bitch, suck my dick. He's not that guy. He didn't get to the point that he got to. He didn't sling that much dick for no reason. You know what I mean?
Who in the fucking world is going to watch the Newsom DeSantis?
I
don't even think I'm going to watch it.
I will watch it. We will watch it.
I guess I will.
We will be there.
If not for professional reasons, I would not watch it.
That's one of those debates that like every dude with like every dude that's like sock them.
Yeah. Anyone with an EU flag who's never left America.
Yeah. Sock them. Loyalist to Slava Ukraine. I'm a urbanist. Blah, blah, blah. Like all of those accounts, some of which are in here right now, are going to go crazy over it. They're going to go nutty with it.
Yeah. And I get it if I were them, because it's like, I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way, but I favor Newsom and DeSantis just because of DeSantis, Charlie Crist, and Andrew fucking Gillum, on a Molly come down. They both almost made him cry.
Yeah. No.
What is gruesome Gavin al-Assad?
No. He's gonna be like, your wife looks hot. Guess what? I fucked her in the bathroom. It will be real.
Yeah, no.
For Gavin Newsom, it will be real.
DeSantis is about to have a third child with a uniquely DNC glint in his eye.
He's going to come out of the womb woke, dude.
Yeah.
He's going to be doing land acknowledgements at the fucking, at the delivery room.
He's going to have the Jon Snow of Florida.
Yeah.
Casey DeSantis is, who was Ned Stark's sister? Whatever her fucking name was.
I don't remember.
Yeah, whatever. Casey DeSantis, or Gavin Newsom is a Targaryen. Look at his silver hair.
Exactly. Oh, man.
Lyanna Stark. Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm Ron DeSantis and I'm cancer wife guy, and that's like the only thing that is like literally the one tangible thing that like the media is pointing to about the best thing about me. I am not putting my wife anywhere near in the same zip code as the most notorious adulterer who does it as an Olympic sport. It's like Ariana Grande, Gavin Newsom, okay? Yeah. Serial cheaters. Watch out.
Gruesome. No one's touching Gruesome Gavin.
Yeah.
He's the fucking best at it.
He was so good at it that when the Larry Elder, like Gavin Newsom recall thing was coming out, there was quite literally attack ads about Gavin Newsom with that fucking old guy who was like, Gavin Newsom looks like the type of guy who would steal your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, I good at one thing. He'll never fucking be president. He's fucking weird for the rest of the country, but I don't know. He'll be something.
He's too much like a Patrick Bateman type. Like he doesn't have the riz or the like down to earth nature of a Big Gretch even or JB Pritzker, you know what I mean?
I mean, in like, I don't know, liberal Ender's Game where California like breaks away. Okay, he could be, I could see him being like the Maria Teresa California Republic, maybe.
Oh yeah, no,
for life.
Yeah.
But president, no, that's less likely. Far less likely.
He does look like he is the president in like a shitty movie.
Yeah,
he has a look for it.
He's like, no, he's the president, not even in a movie, like in a Ghost Recon game. Like, not even in like a A-tier Tom Clancy game franchise. He's an Ubisoft human being.
Yeah, he's like too presidential looking to actually be president.
He's going to be in a fucking Assassin's Creed game. He's president. He's probably already in one. There's probably one where, like, the one that's coming out, he probably addresses the player. And it's like, the California Democrats are fine with the assassins.
Yeah. What is this? How can you be tough on China when they're literally paying you a lot of money? What is this?
Crooked Joe, he's more interested in where's the money coming from. To him, he's interested to him. How about all these things with the 30 corporations and the this and the that, the money flowing in?
Dude, he's not even trying here. What the fuck? Come on, dude. Come on, put some oomph in it. That's crazy. He's like, with the this and the that and the yada yada. You get my fucking point. Oh, Jesus. Trump promised to restore his ban on transgender troops and suggests that generals off the record would deride transgender troops to him. Trump, every time you get indicted, I like to check the polls. Yeah.
But he did. And then I had to get him through Gillum. Remember Gillum? He turned out to be a pothead, crackhead. But everybody thought he was the hottest one.
Wasn't he? It was meth, right?
It was meth and Molly, yeah.
Yeah, but he's black, so that's why I think he's saying crack. He like,
Yeah,
but not even to be racist because he is racist. So in his mind, he's like, he's a black guy. He probably did crack. He can't remember.
Yeah, actually, like Gillum. Saying that Gillum was like the hottest prospect at one point,
but
no one thought that.
No, but like the Democratic Party was actually like. You know how they have some guys in the pocket?
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, we're gonna groom these guys to be like the next Obama. It was obviously a miscalculation on their front, regardless. But
that wasn't Gillum, though.
You don't think so?
No, he was not supposed to win that. That it was like a historical accident that he won that. It was sort of just a consequence of how fucked up and junky the Florida Democratic Party was. Their preordained candidate did not win. They wanted Bill Nelson's daughter party, but they basically split the center vote.
I could have sworn I've seen like articles that they were like propping him up as like the next Obama because like, he's black.
After he won the nomination, probably because they're like, well, shit, we gotta work with this. But it was like he was not their first choice.
Carrie Lake, who campaigned in Ohio for this week for Amendment 1, says the election tonight was rigged. Yeah, very suspicious that the most unpopular policy was defeated once again in yet another referendum. So much so that like Republicans are. This is what's shocking about this is like I guess this was their last Hail Mary, like their last second Hail Mary to like inevitably try to stop a ballot measure that would definitely galvanize the base, get people out to go and vote. That would also protect abortion. But like even then, didn't they learn from what was it? Is Kansas, right?
Yeah,
and Kentucky too.
Well, with Kansas, there's more. There has historically been more vibrant pro-choice there than people remember or realize. I think with Ohio, maybe they thought it would be different. Maybe they thought like,
yeah, it's the northern Florida.
Yeah, but I don't. I'm more interested. I
might have. She might have gotten stuck under my wheel or something.
But like I'm not surprised by the result of the Ohio thing. I am interested. I'm more interested. Like Carrie Lake, I like her as a case study because it sort of shows like how unsustainable the Trump practice of like, you know, if you lose, you didn't lose, and you just stick around forever and go, I'm the real governor, I'm the real senator. It shows like how he's like the only one who can do it, because like when.
But even then, it hurts him. I think
it still hurts him, but he's still like able to do it, and he's still able to cruise to the nomination. But with her, it's like not only is she probably never going to be like nominee for anything in that state again, she's just like dragging everyone down with her. Just like dragging the rest of the party down with her. It just
more importantly than anything else, I'm a firm believer that they're being annoying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody likes a smarmy zealot. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what the fucking issue is. If you're this adamant about it, it could be something super positive, okay? You could be this combative about, like, giving every American $1,000 right now, and people after, like, the 11th hour would still go, okay, dude, shut the fuck up. I don't care. I don't even want the $1,000. I just want you to shut the fuck up. Like, that's it. These guys are, like, their zealotry, I think, like, betrays the cause that they're trying to push for, even though the cause is, like, stupid in general, too.
Yeah. No, it's the exact same thing that you see with like anti-wokeism, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's the exact same thing. People like Republicans made this calculation that Americans were having like a unique reaction to what they termed as like wokeism or CRT or, you know, fucking whatever, right?
Yeah.
That was it was specific to what they were seeing and not means in which they were seeing it. And now they're realizing, and it's not like the sole reason for the flop in the 2022 midterms, but I think a non-insignificant reason is that their anti-wokeism, people find it as obnoxious as like the worst
SJWs.
Yeah, the worst celebrity excesses of like 2014 or 17 or 20.
Yeah, 100%. Like people freaking out about like manspreading. Like they're how is this any different than like BuzzFeed writing the 11th article about like, I don't know, the cultural appropriation of eating a sushirito? Should you feel morally conflicted?
Yeah, and of you know, very internety American social semi movements, I guess we'll call them. This one seems to be the most invested in getting people fired, which, you know, I never really trust issue polls or hyper-specific polls, but it's one of those things that I not bet is very popular with people. When people see that. People see a ton of people get fired consequent to your thing.
Even if it's not happening all that frequently, it doesn't matter because they make a big fuss about it, and it's all people talk about. And then ultimately people are like, well, this is happening all over the place. That's the funniest part. It was like, I think a byproduct of podcasters, because I've talked about this quite a bit, where like cancel culture becoming this phenomena is really frustrating because nobody really fucking gets canceled. It's not like a real thing, right? People get very frustrated when I say this, but like I've been canceled more times than fucking Joe Rogan. You know what I mean? If you ask Twitter.
I think it sort of like depends on who you are though, right?
Yeah.
But like I mean,
yeah, you can only be canceled by your own side. Like you can't really be actually canceled by like the rest of the population that never watched you.
I mean, even then, it like depends, right? I think like for me or you, like you know, people can get really mad at us, but ultimately, like on not even that long of a timeline, we're always going to be fine because like always going to be like a significant like core audience that's But like, I don't know. Okay, like, you know the story with Isabel Fall?
No, who's that?
It's a whole long thing, and I'll like fuck it up if I try to recap it too tightly. But it was a trans woman wrote a short story that like people took a very, very ungenerous, cynical interpretation of and fucked her life up. And it is an example of someone, unfortunately, being canceled for like, yeah, something that like not like read in the most cynical, ungenerous terms possible. But you know, that's not someone who has like same like core, you know, base of support that like, you know, I might have, you know.
Here's what I was trying to say. Cancel culture is, I think, in my opinion, one way that podcasters can like try to identify with the average person, because the average person has a understandable fear of being canceled, not by the woke mob, but by their fucking jobs. Like, yeah, you can lose your job for any given reason. Right. So that is an understandable and very real fear that you can have, you know, in these right to work states, right? Like that's real. Like real people get fucking actually canceled all the goddamn time. Go to Jiffy Lube and try to pull off the shit that you would pull off on Twitter, and you're done. You're gone. You're immediately fucking fired, right? But like Joe Rogan is not getting fired. You know what I mean? Joe Rogan is never getting fired. Like that's crazy. So I think part of it was like people like Joe Rogan would take this on and like greatly emphasize how scary and how terrifying this was, when in fact it was never going to impact them at all, and it was never going to impact most people in positions of power in a real way. It's a It's good now, I think.
Okay.
It's good.
Unambiguously for it.
Is it? Yeah.
Okay. Unambiguously for it, they're against it if you show, like, you know, show them the right thing that pushes the right buttons for them, right? You know what I mean? Like, everyone, almost everyone. There are a few people out there who are principled, I will say. But everyone, to some extent, there's something that will push their cancel button, you know?
Yeah.
I want it done to somebody.
Well, also the other side of it is like everybody does it, especially right wingers do it all the fucking time. Like, and yet they were able to, until recently, they were able to have such a stranglehold on the conversation that the narrative was so perfectly designed around the left is the only people that do this, while they simultaneously did it to people nonstop and have never stopped doing it. It's the same. It's a similar structure to like the free speech conversation, like you were saying, when Ron DeSantis is like combating wokeism and like taking anti-CRT initiatives, which in some respects could quite literally be declared an assault on free speech, or anti-BDS laws, right, as a matter of fact. Like that is a direct violation of the First Amendment, who, you know, rest in peace, shouts out to Dianne Feinstein. Even Dianne Feinstein recognized when she had mental clarity.
Anti-BDS laws are identitarian, racialized, anti-free speech laws.
Yeah.
And yet
never
get talked about that.
I know,
way.
And no one sees it from that framework, because it's only SJWs that do it.
Right.
And it's like, no, you're doing it. You're always doing it. You haven't stopped doing it. Like they talk about liberals want censorship, they want book burnings, and then they actually, you know, will legitimately censor books in libraries, like in fucking Florida again. Even Charlie Moist Critical made a video about it, where like there was a manga, a battle royale manga. I forget what it is. Like, I don't know, BattleBot High School or some shit. I forget what the name of it is, but it was you know, what was the name of the manga, chat? Oh, Assassination Classroom. They banned it, which is like, what? That's insane.
Exactly. Everyone's
a liberal,
but especially the people who like they make it their sole thing that they're against us. They have a ton of buttons that you can press where, you know, they'll do the exact same thing they were inveighing against.
Yeah.
Very, very few principled people out there, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, it's silly. Okay.
I'm one of them. I'm one of the only people you can ever
I'm
trust.
not. I am. Well, my only principle is that I'm openly hypocritical about cancel culture and also freedom of speech restrictions. It's me and only me. I vibe check you. I'll know it when I see it, when it's valid, and I'm the final arbiter. That's how I see it.
No, I'm kidding about being the most morally upright person with this. Maybe power is the truest test. Maybe I say all these things. Maybe both of us say all these things. But if given the opportunity, instead of creating the American super NHS, maybe I think about an issue that like I specifically care about, like a very specific thing. And I'm like, you know what? No more white rappers. And that's the only thing.
As you would landslide. Actually, no.
No,
God,
I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's not a popular issue at all.
Yeah, I wonder, has it ever been polled?
Brother,
I don't know.
There's no shot. Eminem is still the highest
he would be
grossing.
Excluded. I would say, like, if you're like, you can be a white rapper if you grew up like Eminem, but if you're like if you grew up like me, you can't. How about that?
Okay, you excluded like almost all white rappers now.
Yeah, I guess so.
I
guess I did.
Grandfather laws for white rappers. Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. If I was in power, I wouldn't do. I would do that like towards like the last period of my rule. Like
when you know you're about to be out of power and you don't give a fuck.
Well, like like the final Mugabe years.
Yeah,
like the equivalent of that.
That's funny.
Tom McDonald's Canadian, so I couldn't even like do anything.
No. He's exiled.
Canada.
No, he's
that's right.
Yeah, he's exiled to
the Trudeau
fucking
regime.
Yeah. We send his ass back to Canada where he belongs. You know what I mean? Get the fuck out of here. I would say that about most conservative Canadian commentators, and like if you don't like it, leave. You know, fuck it. Like, why are you here? Don't try to make America more awful.
The worst is like when it's like David Frum, where he was that, but now like he just like doesn't know what he is, and it's like, well, I know one thing: you are not American, you're Canadian.
Yeah,
go back there.
Yeah, go back to Canada. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah,
leave, David.
Canada is not bringing their best. Actually, well,
some good Canadians.
No, 100%. I always say there's no mid Canadians. There's either really cool Canadians or really awful ones. Like nothing in between. And like the awful ones are like really awful though. If you